going on with everybody? Good morning. My bad, I'm late. Got sidetracked. But good morning, man. Let's go ahead and get into everything. You all know the title. A slight little Commanders film session on the first unit defense. Appreciate everybody checking in. Good morning. Chop it up. Commanders morning show starting up right now. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. I just appreciate everybody watching.
Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. What up, Hawk? What up, Rich? Appreciate everybody checking in. You know what time? Before I get started, how y'all? First off, how's everybody doing today? I need to check in with y'all. Y'all tell me how y'all morning doing, man. What y'all boys on? What y'all ladies on this morning? What y'all got going on for today, man? I'm gonna check in with y'all right quick before I get everything situated on my side. Matter of fact, while I'm still getting situated on my side, let me hear about y'all, man. How y'all day went yesterday? I need to know everything. While I'm still setting up over here, y'all talk to me. You know what time it is, man. I'm so excited, bruh. I got lucky, man. I told you I was gonna look for that film. I found it. So excited. Just general, man. Like, football is my thing, so I don't care if it's preseason. Just to look at some things from the eye in the sky. You know what I'm saying? I love that. But let me get through the administrative item right quick. Wrong show. Let me go ahead and bring that thing up. Yes, and whichever way you are listening, as always, you know the vibes. Or watching, make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, whether it be Twitch, whether it be YouTube, man. It helps the show's growth. You already know what it is. Listen, we are almost there. We're climbing each and every day by small little nuggets, small little nuggets, small bites, man. We're almost there to that 1,000 mark, man. So if you are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button as well for everybody. But also make sure you hit that follow button if you're on Twitch. I will be opening the floor to everybody later in the show. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the film breakdown for the Commanders defense. There was some good, there was some bad, but you know, a lot of people are concerned about that third down defense, and that's kind of you know, it's prevalent, right? But I think that, to Ron Rivera's point where he mentioned, you know, early downs and not just third downs was a key contributor to, you know, what happened on those first couple drives. That was a little concerning. And there was some nuggets, some takeaways from a lot of things, and it's not just the result of the play, it was what happened within it. A couple of instances, right? So we're going to touch on everything. If you, like, Derek Forrest had a couple of instances where, you know, he could have played a little bit better. Kendall Fuller clearly could have played a little bit better, especially on that touchdown. Let's see what else. Deron Payne had some good and some bad. He had a couple good pass rushes. One good pass rush in particular. Jamin Davis played good. He had one spot where Ron Rivera called him out post game. That he could have fit. He had a run fit that he could have played a little bit better. But overall, I think Jamin Davis had a good game. A good outing outside of that missed tackle that I always call out. But yeah, man, those are some things. Let me go ahead and continue getting set up on my side. I forgot to clock in, but do not tell nobody. I forgot to clock in. Okay. Let me go ahead and check in. As you come in, please pay that admission. That's what I'm talking about. Pay that admission fee. Drinking coffee, got working a bit for sure. Going swell. Yes, sir. Everything is good. I'm just making sure. Let me make sure this thing is good. And once we're set on my side, we can go ahead and get right into it. Boom. We are golden. We are golden. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh, and by the way, too, I'm gonna ask later on in the show once people start filling in. I don't know if you all want to see what the offensive side look like, because it is Wednesday, and I actually had access to this probably Monday or Tuesday and didn't even know it. So if you all want to see something on Friday, I could definitely pop it up. But if at the very least, I may just put an article out on Hogs Haven that identifies offense for sure. I'm definitely gonna put one out, like a full breakdown on the defense as well. But in terms of the offense, let's go ahead and get into this first, and then we'll circle back and see if we all want to see some things from the offensive side as well. All right, they will be joining one of our team meetings in the near future. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about this Washington Commanders defense. Again, let's start with the big ticket item. It wasn't just that third down stuff, right? It was more to it. And for me, we'll go ahead and get right into that second down situation that kicked off everything for us. Now, where are we at? Let's go ahead and start with that second and six. They gave up 4 yards on the first carry. You know, it's only but so much you can do when the play is blocked up, but you also have a running back who found the hole and was able to press the hole properly. So what is going on with my mouse? Let's go ahead and tap into the second down and the starting unit from the Commanders game. How do I? No. Oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm tripping. Let me go ahead and remove this screen. Here we go. All right, y'all. Does this work too? No. Does this work? No. Jesus Christ. Here we go. Now I'm up. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. So to start things off, again, 2nd and 6. The Commanders is in somewhat of a cover one look. This would be excellent if I had Logan Paulson on to go through this one with us. But here we go. 2nd and 6 from a cover one situation. I'll go ahead and let this thing play out and we'll run it back. And we all know the play. But overall, when we talk about that coverage situation, so they have generally like a 2x2 look, so it seems. If not, yeah, it looks like a 2x2 look. So you got 2 tight ends on the field. If not a fullback, I don't know who exactly their personnel is, but clearly 2 pass catchers off the tackles. So 2x2 look where you got a receiver at the top, you got a receiver at the bottom, and then you got your 2 tight ends. So essentially, and you got your running back obviously, but they're playing man up on the 2nd and 6. So you essentially have more in coverage than you're really covering. And what Bobby does, he covers things well in this instance. He is a little late on that deep man because he bit on that crosser, but ultimately able to recover, I think. But ultimately, you have good coverage on the back end. Overall, good coverage on the back end. So we can go ahead and move forward to the end zone screen where you see the ultimate problem and where Ron Rivera says, look, man, it's again not third down that's always the problem for us. It is second. It is maybe even first, getting them in good situations, right? So I think this is probably the issue that ultimately hurt Ron Rivera to start things off, to start the drive off. You start with Deron Payne in terms of the front 4. John Allen is trying to defeat the reach block. He's able to maintain, but he's not getting any push. Montez Sweat ultimately gets pushed when he gets matched up with the tight end. So he gets a good push at the line. We'll see that. Drive. He's able. That's what ultimately stops Baker Mayfield from having his eyes downfield. So now he's in scramble mode. He's looking for an opportunity to move. And where does Baker Mayfield take off? Middle, bounces to the outside. Before we even get to Jamin Davis, which is a person that I call out all the time, let's get back to the boy Deron Payne. Deron Payne is responsible for the B gap based on his alignment. He's a 3-tech, and you have to maintain that space. So while he gets that double and he gets pushed away from the center, by the center, excuse me, he is completely washed from his gap, and he's unable to move. So while Montez Sweat creates pressure, in theory, if he's even to stalemate, like that's what Jonathan Allen is doing. He got doubled as well, but he's able to stalemate. He's not giving up ground. Deron Payne is giving up ground, and he's getting out of his rush lane. So he's all the way to the edge. But again, Montez Sweat is able to create that pressure and ultimately have Baker's eyes transition from downfield to now I need to get the hell up out of here. And Deron Payne is out of the gap. So that's an easy opportunity for the first instance of getting these cheap 3 yards. Now the second phase of this, again, because there was good coverage, including good coverage by Jamin Davis. He peels off of his man. He tries to make the tackle on Baker Mayfield. Now he's out of position, whiffs, and you get a cheap 3 yards on 2nd and 6 that ultimately becomes that 3rd and 3. So that's that first thing right there. That 3rd and 3 is up next, and they ultimately convert, obviously, right? So let's go ahead and get into. Let me see if I found it. I don't think I did show the 3rd and 3, and I can't pull it up live. I don't want to do that one, but let's go ahead and remove this one. Here we go. Okay. So that was one thing. Like I said, this is a mini film session, so we're not going to dive into every single play. But I will have some more on the back end in terms of depth. Depth pieces for Washington. But here we go. I think this is 2nd down, I believe. If not first, I want to say it's 1st down. Matter of fact, it is 1st down, because this is the 1st down that ultimately I think came into a 2nd and 9 or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, here we go. As they approached midfield after, I believe, the Cole Holcomb botched coverage, you have that 1st down call. And this is what I liked from Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb. When we talk about that, taking on these linebackers and filling the holes, this was a really good showing in their first evaluation period from another team. And I'll let it run, and we can talk about it after. So let's go ahead and dive back into it. Everybody's playing this well up front. First and foremost, Casey is containing Casey Toohill on the backside. Now you have your boy Cole, who's filling that gap from the absent lineman, just making sure nobody comes on the other side. But he's quickly filling as he's, I don't know the proper term, I'm not gonna lie to you, but once he realizes that the tackle vacates that gap, he's trying to fill over now, and he's trying to find the ball carrier. But this is the part that's important right here, is the contact. When you have that double and you see that lineman pulling up on Cole, he has that forearm or stab. It's not even a forearm really, but you see the impact. So automatically he wins with leverage, and he wins with strength, able to drive that man back. But also you see your boy Deron Payne taking on that double team. And once that lineman peels off and tries to fill on Cole, he's able to quickly shed. And then you see your boy Jamin Davis. Same thing he's doing. He's recognizing that pulling offensive lineman. You have Jamin on the left side, and you have Deron. So Jamin is essentially reading that tackle or that guard that's pulling, meets him in the hole. So you see Jamin and Cole both with some good physicality meeting on these linemen. Very impressive. They both knock them back. Both knock them back off their edge. And then you have Cole Holcomb, Deron Payne, Jamin Davis, and Cameron Curl all in the same space, defending the run, which is good to see. A lot of power. They ran a lot of power against Washington. That may just be their base scheme in terms of what they want to run versus zone or anything like that. So ironically didn't hear much from Matt Ioannidis. That is true. We didn't hear a lot from Matt Ioannidis at all. Let me go ahead and make sure that we don't show. Is this showing? Hold on one second, y'all. Okay. All right, bet we good. We good. Okay. So let's get back to it. That was a good run stop from Jamin. That was a good run stop from Cole. Let's go ahead into the next play and next situation. 2nd and 9. When we talk about like games and strategy, it's not just about, what Washington does wrong, right? Sometimes it could be as simple as, what exactly Baker and the opposing team does well. And here on this play, I think this was a fire zone blitz with Bobby McCain on the edge. So when you have the fire zone blitz, you essentially are sending more rushers to the quarterback. Sometimes you can run variations of a fire zone, but more importantly, he probably hurt. Nah, look, hey, Sam Cosmi took care of him. But when you run that fire zone, right? This one in particular, you're running it with your secondary, and I'll run it, and then we'll go back and talk about what Carolina did well, and then what Washington could have done a little bit better. In my opinion, I'm not the coach, so I'm just showing you all what I see. So again, when we talk about what Ron Rivera wants to see out of these guys, is not just third downs that was hurting these guys. And this was also a theme early. I mean, it was always a theme last year too. Like when you set your team up in better situations early on in the sticks, these are those instances for any team, and Washington faced this a lot. They were facing a lot of 3rd and shorts, and even if they faced those 3rd and longs, they were in trouble too. But more importantly, they had a lot of opportunities where it was just hard to defend against a 3rd and short, because you're able to pass or run in these instances. But again, let's go back to the 2nd and 9. You saw the play result. Again, the fire zone, you got your 5 linemen essentially slanting or crashing to the left side of the defense. I mean, you have Bobby McCain going off of the edge into the quarterback. Now, what I thought personally was that while we understand that Bobby McCain is blitzing, I thought that he could have been a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage at the start. Like sometimes you just got to be a little bit closer. And again, this is my opinion. I might be wrong. I'm not saying I'm 100% right in this instance, because, disguise looks, it all depends on where you may want to be or where your coaches may want you to start. But ultimately, I think he could have been closer to the line of scrimmage. It would have increased Baker Mayfield's internal time, but also Danny Johnson as well. In a fire zone, you usually have variations of back-end coverage as well. For Washington, they had 3 deep. So they had William Jackson at the top of the screen, Kendall Fuller at the bottom of the screen, and then you have, I think this is Cam Curl in the middle, dropping as the deep 3rd. So my boy Rio, what's going on, fellas? What's going on, Rio? We're actually in the process of going down that first drive. Actually, I'll probably end up going through Washington's first 2 drives and seeing what everything is going on. So yeah, here we go. Again, Danny Johnson, Bobby McCain. We talked about Bobby. He could have been closer to the line of scrimmage to start this one off. But in that 3-by-1 look, I think that you have to understand, and this is part of the coverage that they talked about in the offseason, OTAs. When you know that you're sending pressure, or when you're sending these pressure looks or anything like that, you have to understand that the clock is going to be quicker for the quarterback as well. So this is kind of where I think that Danny Johnson, again, could have been a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, because if you're playing 3 deep and Danny Johnson's responsibility is shorter to the line of scrimmage, maybe the flat area, I would imagine, or maybe the hook, but I would imagine it's the flats. You got to be closer. So you're giving up, what is that? How many yards is that, y'all? That's nearly 7-8 yards off the ball. I think you got to be a little bit closer than that. So that's on Washington's side. But for Baker to recognize it, that's also good as well. So it's a give and take. Like when you gamble, the way that Jack Del Rio gambled is perfectly fine. Like if you're going to gamble, you do it. It's a hit or miss. It's 50-50. But what Washington could have done to help themselves is probably play a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage on Danny Johnson's side, because the out route in terms of anything closer towards the boundary or the field side would have been a much more difficult throw. So I think Kendall Fuller is in good position. And I also think who else was that? Jamin Davis and William Jackson III, they're also in good position as well. So I think it really came down to Danny Johnson being in tighter coverage, and maybe Cole Holcomb probably being a little bit closer to the tight end. But ultimately, with Baker Mayfield understanding that you have a 3-by-1 look, your opportunity in terms of being hot is going to be on your left side. Getting the ball out quicker is definitely something that was good on Baker's side too. So again, give and take 50-50. Washington gambled, Washington lost. It is what it is. So we continue on with that one. Where's the next one that we got? Video file. Match. Is this the match jump? Let's see what this one was. This may have just been a nugget. Let me see. Oh yeah. This is the full film. Yeah, this one's good. This one's good. We all saw the Bobby McCain one and William Jackson III. I like how they played it. Last night on the show, AJ said, yeah, I think he was a little bit slow as well in terms of recognition. His eyes was a little late. Same thing with Danny. Well, Danny Johnson is a little bit different. I think his depth was he gave up too much in his coverage. So I do agree with Rich in terms of Cole Holcomb. He's probably a little bit slow to react. But it depends. Like if he was playing the hook, then maybe he couldn't commit too much to anything in the flat area. I don't know. But in a 3-by-1 look, I would imagine that maybe you are supposed to be closer to that tight end. So yeah, I think he was a little slow. 100% agree on that one. This look was really good. We can run it one more time. This seemed like some iteration of a match coverage because you got 2 deep as well, but then you also have Kendall Fuller on the field side having eyes to these combinations in front of him. So this one was a little interesting, just seeing where his eyes was, but also understanding, I don't even know where, like Jamin Davis is on the boundary side, but I don't know if he was supposed to be deeper or if this was actually his coverage, his zone. So he didn't, go a little bit deeper, but Baker took that shot after they got that first down conversion, which is what he's supposed to do. First down, take that shot, you're on the plus side. William Jackson did a good job staying with his guy and turning. So he's still there. Ultimately, I think if it was one-on-one with either Bobby or William Jackson, we still win this. They're both in good position to make a play. But for Bobby to cover that field, like, think about this. Look where Bobby's starting at. That's really impressive. And if you had any faith in or you had any doubt in terms of what Bobby can do in terms of covering the field as a single high, I think this one or this one example can tell you that he's very comfortable, and the defense is very comfortable putting him in position to scan the field and make plays like that. Yeah, look where Bobby's starting it. We're gonna run it back full speed. He was on it. So I thought he was a single high at first, but he wasn't. But he was still able to read the field from that side. So I think it ultimately gave him, to start things off one more time, I think it gave Baker a middle of the field open look. But ultimately, they had a late rotation post snap. So it looked like middle of the field was open, but Bobby had eyes on the quarterback and was rotating back towards the middle of the field the entire time. So the middle of the field was ultimately closed. So I think it was actually a good, read. A good, call? Sorry, good coverage call by Jack Del Rio. And when you can trust your safety to do something like that, if you can trust your safety to do something like that, that's real good. Let's look on the front side. That's your boy Daniel Wise right there making the play. I hadn't seen the whole game yet, so seeing Daniel Wise make a play with the starters is really good. You got Montez Sweat, and I think that's John Allen. Yeah, no, that's Fedarian Mathis. So you have Daniel Wise and Fedarian Mathis, Montez Sweat, and Casey Toohill rushing the quarterback. Daniel Wise has a good rush initially with his quickness. able to slice in and get in between the tackle and the guard. And once that guard is, once you're able to touch the tackle, his shoulder, you're good. You're golden. You're golden. So Daniel Wise had a really good rush on this one. Able to get a good hit on Baker Mayfield as well. Really good coverage. Really good match coverage. Good identification from Bobby McCain. Very good speed on the backside, man. I was really encouraged to see this one. I thought it was just a traditional single high look, but no, they disguised this one. They disguised this one, man. I love the way they looked on this one. So for anybody, again, let me go ahead and go to the conclusion. Worried about Bobby McCain and what he can do on the back end. I seen this last year, like watching the film. I don't really have too much of a concern with Bobby on the back end, so long like he's a versatile piece. He's a versatile piece. And I think Washington's going to use him that way continuously throughout this entire season, regardless of where anybody else lands. So I'm very happy with that one. All right, so we continue on, and we get to one of the problem areas. We talked about Danny Johnson once already. This is the big play for Danny Johnson. Danny Johnson, let me go ahead and remove this right quick. We talked about him being barbecue chicken. Shout out to Rio, who's at the game Saturday. So he saw it for sure. But now we get to that 3rd and 5. And this is one of the instances where, you know, it's a reasonable one. You can either run it or pass it. Like you got a two-way option on this one. But again, when we talk about what Rivera's saying, you're setting this team up, your opponent in good situations. You have a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, and you have quarters coverage. And I don't think there was anything wrong with the call per se. I really don't think there was anything wrong with the call. But when you have this too high look, again, this is an excellent read. Like it really just comes down to Baker Mayfield. It's an excellent read against quarters coverage, and for Baker to understand that. Like in less than a second, that his dig route was going to be wide open. That was impressive. So go ahead and run it, and then we can talk about it. Okay. So here we go. Again, and you know the crazier thing, before we even get to the coverage, look at Jonathan Allen. He's aligned a little bit wider, closer towards the I think what's that one? That is a 3-tech, but look how much pressure he creates at the snap. Like he's creating instant pressure, but look how quick Baker Mayfield is by himself. John Allen was quick, Baker Mayfield was quicker. Like that's incredible. Like you can't, like that the pressure was there. John Allen created instant pressure for Washington's defense. All you had to do was hold your coverage for a second longer, and you get Baker Mayfield on the ground, or you get him rolling out of the pocket. Who knows? But ultimately, you help your defense out, or you help your front four out if your back end is stronger. So now we get into Danny Johnson. When you have the coverage that you have in the quarters look, and you have the middle of the field open the way it is, middle of the field meaning like these two safeties are split. You got one towards the numbers at the top of the field side, and then you have one closer to the numbers on the boundary. And Baker recognizes that there's no rotation really at the snap. Like look where his eyes are initially. Baker's eyes start on the left side. Like he's looking at Cam Curl, and maybe you're not able to see it from like the film that I have, but his eyes start to the left, and that's when he transitions to that dig route. Right now, he's already ready to fire, but his dig route isn't really out. So with Danny Johnson understanding that the middle of the field is open, you're playing inside already. You shouldn't be committing to anything that soon. Like you should be a little bit more patient in your depth. You should trust yourself a little bit more. And for a person giving up inside leverage or having inside leverage, maintaining that inside leverage is even more important. And he opened up his hips immediately, thinking it was probably an outbreaking route. So now the receiver wins right here. And when Baker hitches, he was already ready to throw the ball. But now the ball is out right here. A better ball, better opportunity, first down conversion. The sticks continue to move. So right now we have 2 coverage breakdowns, I believe. on Danny Johnson's side. You have the fire zone blitz where Cole Holcomb could have been a little bit tighter and Danny Johnson could have been a little tighter to the line of scrimmage. And then you have the cover 4 on 3rd and 5 where your nickel cornerback is playing inside leverage in a hook area, and you give up something over the middle in that situation, with Jonathan Allen creating instant pressure. Like, there is nothing to be said. Like, if Jonathan Allen creating that pressure, bro, you can't ask for anything better. It don't matter if anybody else won. Jonathan Allen won. So that's a little frustrating probably on his side to understand how quickly he got back there and the ball was still out and it's still a first down. That was a little frustrating. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on in this drive, y'all. Where are we at? Boom, foul. Jamin Davis. Okay, let's run this one just to make sure I've seen this one right. But this is a Jamin Davis. Kudos to Jamin Davis on this one. My boy Alex. Yeah, all right, so here we go. Like I said, it wasn't all bad. Like, we shown some good. We shown the coverage from Bobby McCain, William Jackson. We shown a good run stop between Cole Holcomb and Jamin Davis. What's going on, Alex? Appreciate you checking in. We just breaking down that first drive. We in the middle of breaking down that first drive from Washington's defense. We're already on the plus side of the field. We just talked about the quarters coverage between Danny Johnson and the relationship between the quarters coverage, the inside leverage, how quickly Baker Mayfield recognized that dig should be open and giving his guy a shot in the middle of the field. Now we're transitioning on to a good play. Now this is also a good play from not just Jamin Davis, but I'm just highlighting the fact that he's quickly recognizing things. He's picking up things well. Like, remember, J.D. McKissick said either yesterday or 2 days ago that, matter of fact, I got the quote. Hold on. He's been a whole different guy. He's been a whole different player. Like, you're getting that out of J.D. McKissick. And that's one thing, right? But if you see it on, you understand it as well. So I just want people to understand that Jamin is really playing better. He is playing a little bit better. So here we go. Let's go ahead and start this thing off again. Again, remember I told you they were running power this whole, essentially this whole drive. It wasn't really any inside zones or outside zones or anything like that. A lot of power looks, a lot of drives and base blocks, excuse me. But anyway, here you see that offensive lineman pulling again. So his first step was flowing to the left side, but he sees that offensive lineman pulling, and it was a play action pass. So they're playing off of their power run scheme. And you see Cam curl down in the box, ready to jump anything behind him in terms of that slant, anything behind him. He's on it. He's going to jump up and try to deflect the pass or even pick it off. Who knows? Jamin Davis is there, meeting that offensive lineman in the hole. Now he gets a little, you know what I'm saying? Gets a little driven back, but he's there. He's there. He met him. He's recognizing things a little bit quicker. He's recognizing things and being in position, and that's ultimately what stops Baker Mayfield and holds this. And now he spikes it because that backside slant is there. So this is a play to test these linebackers and test this run support. Because if you're able to suck in the defense on a power play like this, in theory, you will have Baker and Cam, Jamin and Cam closer to that line of scrimmage. And that backside slant will be open in a one-on-one situation between the receiver and Kendall Fuller. But they're both there. Jamin is there. Boom. Dead deal. The drive continues, but also we move forward to that was a very good rep from Jamin, and overall the overall defense altogether. So let's go ahead and get into the next one. Buffalo nickel. Now I put this one on Twitter already, so if you've seen it, no cheat codes. Let me play it and y'all tell me what y'all see, and I'll tell you what I saw as well. Because again, I'm not guessing, but I'm also giving, my opinion based on, what I know. So I want to see what you all see. And let's get to it. I'll run it a couple times so you all have a couple looks at it, since I hadn't seen it 1,000 times already. So let's go ahead and run it, and I'll run it back 2 more times after this. All right. So for me, let's go ahead and get into what I saw. And I'm gonna just assume that we were waiting on me to speak, which is fine. Which is fine. That's what we are all here for anyway. A reminder for everybody, if you are new to the Trapper Dive podcast, Trapper Dive YouTube channel, make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It helps the show's growth. It is truly appreciated. After this film session, and matter of fact, at this point, I'm going to send the invite out to anybody and everybody that wants to join the show. The link is in the chat. The link is in both chats. After the film session, any call, anything that you all want to talk about, the floor is yours. But we'll continue on with this film breakdown of the Washington Commanders' first drive, and then we'll tap into the second drive as well. I'll have my overall opinion on like how these guys played the starting unit and things like that. So let's go ahead and get back into this play that was a no gain for Carolina, but what I also think was not helpful was the back end, the coverage on the back end. Now this is the first 3 safety look that they had, Washington had on Saturday against the Commanders. You had obviously Derek Forrest. And then Bobby McCain, and then Cam Curl. Cam Curl is closer to the box. Then you have Bobby McCain and Derek Forrest as the 2 middle safeties over here. So it's a little tighter split from both of these guys, and I wouldn't say the middle of the field is open in this instance, but or maybe it is, I guess. I don't know. I would say it is. But ultimately you have a 3-by-1 look. And you have a receiver at the bottom of the screen, right? And you have a fullback. So I looked this one up. You had a fullback and a tight end, and then a receiver on the field side. So you have 3 eligible receivers on the right side or the top of the screen, and then you have 1 at the bottom of the screen. So ultimately what you're seeing when you look at this instance, and when you look at this side is when we played it, you've seen the reactions. Let's go ahead and start it back. Senator McCain, I love that. So here we go. It goes from a 2 high look to post snap. You get a single high look. And you saw it a little bit in terms of where Derek Forrest is. So ultimately it's a cover 3. It's a disguised cover 3 starting from a single high look. Bobby McCain crashes down and takes the flat man. You have, I think this is Cole Holcomb in the middle taking the hook route. And carrying him as far as he can. But Derek Forrest is supposed to be over top. He's the deep third. So ultimately, his eyes, I believe Derek Forrest's eyes, I think they're in the backfield much longer than what they should be. Like, he's not even paying attention to the combination behind him. So in theory, that receiver at the top of the screen on William Jackson, who is playing his man well, he's filtering anything inside and playing anything coming outside. So William Jackson is playing this combination perfectly fine because he has that corner route. He has that flag route. Anything towards that end zone, towards that pylon, he's on it. So he played this perfectly. But where is his help at? Derek Forrest a little late. And you have a quarterback in Baker Mayfield. Again, we showed it throughout this drive, y'all. So, again, my opinion, but I also think based on how Baker Mayfield was playing on this drive, he was seeing the field extremely well. So while Derek Forrest is over here with eyes in the backfield, let's go ahead and play at full speed. I think ultimately, if he reaches the top of his depth or top of his drop, Baker Mayfield, he's firing that post route. And would you expect a second-year player with limited experience in his first year to make that play in terms of being able to cover ground that quickly, like we've shown Bobby McCain to do? I'm not particularly sure that he even saw that route combination coming. I'm not sure. So it all comes down on Baker's arm. but I think that the post route is there. So ultimately, while there was a no gain, this was a pass that was set up to win for Carolina. And in a 3-by-1 look, I think you have to give your guys more help. You definitely have to give your guys more help in this instance. If you're Derek Forrest, like, don't cheat too much. You got to get over top of these guys and give these guys some help over the middle. Senator McCain, we talked about that one. And Chevy, what's going on, big dog? The cushion depth by the corners is crazy. Yeah, and this was I think this was what, 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9. So I think they were fine. And they also was fine for the call that the Panthers made. So it ultimately worked out for them, right? It worked out for these guys. So if they ran any iteration of like a curl or something like that, or a quick play, like if he hit that flat man, like right now, if he hit that flat man, then maybe you can get like 3 or 4 yards out of this, in terms of the fullback that's running out. But yeah, I think this scissors concept was really good for Carolina and ultimately challenged Derek Forrest's eyes. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Sign it back into my laptop. Boy, this thing taking forever. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and get back into it. So that was the first look of the Buffalo nickel. And then we have another look of the Buffalo nickel coming right back after this one. And I think this was ultimately the 3rd down call, I believe. Let me make sure if this is Darnold or is this, yeah, this one is Darnold. Okay, so actually, okay, so here we go. So this is the second drive. We just got through the first drive. Ultimately, on that first drive, there was several mistakes, particularly in pass coverage. Again, we didn't even show the mesh concept one, right? Where Cole Holcomb ultimately misidentified the coverage that they were in, and it allowed for like an 18-yard gain for Carolina. So there were a ton of issues from a coverage standpoint that popped up on that first drive, whether it came from depth, whether it came from eyes, being able to stay on your reads longer, or a lot of things. And that's kind of where my issue is in terms of the secondary side. But overall, I think Bobby McCain played well on that first drive. I think William Jackson played well on that first drive. Kendall Fuller, I didn't show one play, that 3rd and 14, I believe, or 3rd and 12, where they ultimately kicked the field goal. I think Kendall Fuller, he was in a tough spot, but essentially I'll describe it as this: like, he was on the boundary side, and Baker Mayfield ended up throwing it incomplete. It was ultimately a miscommunication between the receiver and Baker, because the receiver had endless opportunity on the sideline. So Baker threw a pass expecting him to sit on a comeback, which was probably like 8 or 9 yards, and probably giving him an opportunity to make a play. So that was one thing, but ultimately the receiver ran a fade route, and Kendall Fuller gave up that fade route. Baker didn't throw the fade route, he threw a comeback. So that was miscommunication between the two, and I thought Kendall Fuller had some opportunities where he probably wanted to see a better performance out of himself. We're gonna get into his performance on this second drive as well, which ultimately he gave up that touchdown. We're gonna start with Derek Forrest in the Buffalo nickel look once again. I'll run this play and then we'll talk about it. So let's start with the pass rush and go from there. This was ultimately a good pass rush, and this was Deron Payne out of the 3-tech position, ultimately getting off the ball really quick. Here we go. You saw some hand usage right here, being able to press his man, get under, split both of these guys, and also, ultimately get to Sam Darnold, right? So that's another good pressure point. You see Jonathan Allen went against his man on the loop, and he's playing a shaded nose tech. Or I said nose tech, shaded nose. Zero tech is what I meant. And he's able to loop. So he's winning. Both of these guys are winning. Deron Payne and John Allen are winning. Montez Sweat is not winning at all, not really getting any push. James Smith-Williams on the outside, the other side, he's not able to get any push either. But ultimately, you have good pressure up front. Now, again, we go back to Derek Forrest. I think Derek had an opportunity here in a cover 3 look, I believe. He had the flats. And when I talk about eyes again, I think his eyes were in the backfield a little bit longer than they should have been. This play, remember, this is right after the Antonio Gibson fumble as well. So this play, you're in good position to really, I think it's second down, I believe. You're really in good position to, overcome the turnover and limit these guys to 3 points. So actually, this was first down. This was the first down. And this went for 8 yards. So if Derek Forrest is a little bit more committal to the flats versus having his eyes on the quarterback, you're able to see maybe even a pick. Who knows? Definitely incompletion, but maybe even a pick, and you get the ball right back. But that was a inaccurate pass. On top of that, like you have the receiver sitting on the curl route. The ball should have been towards the sideline. It was inside. So Sam Darnold even helped our defense out. And if Derek Forrest was in position to make a play on that ball, it probably goes the other way if he stays on the feet, or he's able to deflect it, or even just get a turnover right back. So this was a bad ball by Sam Darnold. But Derek Forrest not being quicker to close on this one, knowing that he is the flat defender, then that's the result that you get. I don't know. Like you got like 10 yards. I know we're talking about that was the fumble call that you're talking about, Chevy. I understand like the press side. Maybe in certain situations. I do know that they run cover 1 pretty often. I think it's cover 1 and maybe cover 4, I believe. Pretty often on third down. So you get a lot of man looks, but that one was a little different given I think it was second down, I believe. Yeah, second and 10. So it maybe goes on tendencies as well. So they may not even be focused on like playing press and things like that. They may have just been trying to get like responsibilities and certain coverage looks and seeing how these players evaluate. Or see how these players play. So, we'll see. Let me go ahead to the next one because we just talked about Derek Forrest. Okay. So this one was, remember, they just got second and 8. They got 8 on first down. So now it's second and 2. Nah, man, I don't think so. I would show y'all. I actually deleted it, so it don't even matter. But there was this one play when you asked this question, scared our corners are gonna get cooked. If y'all remember the touchdown that Mike Evans caught last year, Tampa Bay, Washington, Kendall Fuller pressed him at the line of scrimmage, and Mike Evans cooked this man. Like swim move over him. Got him out the way at the line of scrimmage, shoved him, swim moved. Instantly, 5 to 6 yards of separation. Ball is immediately out by Tom Brady. He saw the mismatch. It was crazy. Like, I ain't never seen, like, my jaw dropped when I watched that one. But that's a funny question because that's exactly what popped into my head when I saw that. Second and 2 situation, and I'll run it and we can talk about it afterwards. So very simple, 2-3 yard gain. But again, when you set yourself in for second and 2, you're in a really good position to continue your drive. And again, this all goes back to the first play in cover 3 with Derek Forrest not playing that flat as quickly as he should, with better eyes and better processing ability. So let's go ahead into this one. Now this one, I don't know if, and I got to start paying attention to this. So As much as I watch these guys, I don't know if this is how high Daron Payne played all the time. But on his get off, here we go. You'll see how high he gets up on a double team, right? And when I say high, look how high Jonathan Allen is playing against a double team compared to Daron Payne. Like, he's up there. Look where John Allen is. Like, he's eye level with that center. And Daron Payne is playing really high. So off rip, before I even get to the other plays that allowed the Panthers to convert this first down, Daron Payne is already playing high. He's already getting knocked back off that double or that combo, because he immediately peeled and helped fill the gap. Helped fill Cole Holcomb. So now Daron Payne is out of position already. But then what makes this play more effective for Carolina is the successful down blocks. So you have the two tight ends playing against James Smith-Williams. You have a really good base block here to initially start it. And now you have the other tight end coming into down block on James Smith-Williams. So when James Smith-Williams gets down blocked, it ultimately affects Daron Payne as well. So Daron was able to recover, but playing too high initially, he lost. He wasn't able to maintain that gap in a sense. But it all comes down to do with James Smith-Williams getting down blocked, but also Daron Payne initially playing too high, which ultimately led to him getting out of his run fit. So good job by Carolina, because we're giving credit to these guys. We talk about how good Baker Mayfield was on that first drive. That was really good drive for Baker Mayfield. But also good job by Carolina offensive line here. The running back got skinny, was able to press this hole and get the initial first down yards that he needed. That's all it took. That's really all it took to get these guys out of position. So yeah, here we go. Let's try this again. That's ultimately what happens. You go from a first down to a 2nd and 2, and now you get that first yardage again. They about to take paint. And it shows the mistake they made not having LB depth. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the next play. I think this is actually the last one. Yes, it is. Kendall Fuller, baby. All right, let's go ahead and remove this one from the studio. Let's go ahead and back this one up. I'm gonna run the play and then we'll talk about it. All right, so look, let's start from the front end and then work our way to the back end. So off the rip, you can see some sort of motion type of sift or whatever. I can't remember the term right now, but off the rip, the receivers in the backfield in a split look, just running behind the line of scrimmage, essentially going towards his goal, number 16 to be specific, was to be towards the field side, challenging over there. But while my words were jumbled, my whole point was getting to Daron Payne, who had a really good hey bro, this shit was hilarious. They about to take Daron Payne sailing. But Daron Payne had a really good pass rush right here. So off the rip, he blown up the play right here. And thankfully he didn't get hurt, because that running back came in and went straight for his legs. I'm surprised it wasn't a penalty. I'm not gonna lie to you. But again, when we talk about the front side before we get to the secondary, this is a really good rep from Daron in particular, able to get instant pressure in the backfield. And then you have Montez Sweat on the other side. Good press. And it's the tackle gives up a soft edge. So essentially, once he presses him, he's able to beat him around the corner. So the pressure is there. And if Daron Payne isn't cut blocked by the running back, you're probably talking about a sack. And Kendall Fuller is never in trouble in terms of giving up a touchdown. So with that being said, let's go back to the cornerbacks. Everything is essentially played well. It really comes down to Kendall Fuller. It really comes down to Kendall Fuller. Like literally, that's all it is. In his situation, what he's doing here, first step, he's already too far deep, and he's reading his keys. At this point, I don't think he knows that it's a play. Like when his head turns, there it goes right here. So he still doesn't know that it's play action. Like he thinks it's a handoff, and maybe he gets lost trying to identify everything in that shuffle. But once he ultimately sees that the quarterback drops back, he's already lost his momentum, because what's going to happen, as what did happen, that receiver is going to carry this route, this crosser, vertically into the end zone. So he already has an angle. And shout out to goddamn Sam Darnold. We got to give these guys credit. That's a hell of a ball under pressure. He just throws it up and gives these guys an opportunity in the back of the end zone. Over the shoulder, able to make that catch. Again, Kendall Fuller late with his eyes. Transitions, but it's too late. He tries to hold him. Doesn't work. And now you have a perfect pass. Like the Panthers couldn't have gotten any better quarterback play from the guys that they had in Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Clearly you see that it's a quarterback competition going on over there. Them motherfuckers was on their shit. Sam fighting for his job, bruh. Sam fighting for his goddamn jobs, bruh. So I got to give credit to them as well. But in terms of what we can do better, what Washington can do better, you see what Kendall Fuller played in his rep that he gave up his touchdown. He's way too deep towards the line of scrimmage, way too close to the line of scrimmage, and ultimately is able to give up the outside when that was his responsibility. And I can more so transition to what Ron Rivera said, which will help. Let me go ahead and show the quotes, because that'll be easier. What is this? Okay. So I'm gonna tell you all what Ron Rivera said about these guys, which will help. Where is it at? Rivera, is that 15? Yeah, I think this is this one. All right, where's Kendall Fuller at? I may have to search his words. Here we go. All right. So, and then Chevy said, look at Kendall Fuller's hips. He did meet from the start at the snap peeking in the backfield. That is a fact. And let's go ahead and go into what Rivera said the other day. This is on the 15th, so it wasn't yesterday's presser. He had said, how he decides what position groups to zero in on and how he decides what to specifically work on. And this is what he said following that practice on the 15th. You can use them as examples, and again, just showing guys the important significance of why you run around a specific way, why you have to do certain things when you're playing specific coverages, why it's important that you fit the gap the way you're supposed to. Those little details get magnified when you're playing in an actual game, and that's what happened for us. It gave us a great opportunity to talk about some things. Like on that touchdown pass that they threw against Kendall, there's a couple things that could have happened prior to that would have helped Kendall be in a better position to defend the ball. So we were able to point that out. So those things really help, as I said, going forward. Let's transition to a couple of other things that he talked about on the defensive side of the football. Let's see. Where are they at? Okay. On his thoughts on watching the game after watching the film, Ron Rivera said on the 15th, because we really didn't cover these quotes at all Monday either. Well, more so anything else, it's really a chance to zero in on positions. You spend a lot of time watching offensive line, defensive line, looking at the young linebackers, watching some of the receiver stuff, and just seeing how the young receivers got to understand the importance of depth, the importance of why you got to clear a zone for something else behind you, those type of things. It gives you a chance to see that on live tape with the players on game. With the players on game tape. It's an opportunity for the guys to see those corrections, just to see how important those things are, certain elements of the game, because there are a lot of things in terms of route depth. And as far as some coverage stuff that we're doing, some of the stuff we've done out there, some of the stuff that we're doing here, we didn't do in the game. As you can see with some of the young corners, DBs especially, the eye discipline, how bad it was because they missed so many things out there that they weren't missing out here. So it was a really good opportunity for us as coaches to evaluate strengths and weaknesses. And that's kind of where I'm getting that with Derek Forrest. So I've only seen the first 2 snaps from the coach's film. First 2 series from the coach's film. I haven't been able to dive into everything just yet. I started tapping into it early this morning. Wanted to share my findings so we can at least get an idea of what that starting unit looked like and understanding what Derek Forrest and his Buffalo nickel looked like. Now I can imagine, based on how Derek played, and it's not a negative in a sense, right? Because I thought that he had some good coverage reps later on in the game. I think that what they'd want to see moving forward. Let me go ahead and remove this. My bad, y'all. What they'd want to see moving forward is what Percy Butler may look like as the single high guy, or as the Buffalo nickel with the 2 high look between maybe a Cam Curl and Percy Butler, and then you have maybe Bobby McCain in the box, or maybe Derek Forrest in the box. Like they may want to try to switch this thing up just to see what else is out there. Who knows? But I think that maybe we get another look in the Buffalo nickel with the starters this upcoming game as well, just to see what things look like. Marcus, big dog, appreciate you checking in. He said, "What's up, fam? I think Del Rio doesn't stress fundamental, and sometimes he has the DBs too much cushion." Yeah, we did talk about that. Chevy came in and talked about the cushion part. It depends. It depends. Like, I don't know exactly what those conversations look like, and maybe if you're playing a certain depth, your anticipation is one thing, but understanding like your route concepts or possible route combinations based on what you're seeing in front of you. It all depends. Like, it's messy. It's messy, and I would lean that I don't know about the fundamentals part. That may come down to the DB coach. But in terms of what Jack Del Rio wants, I think that's the ultimate question. Like, do you want your guys consistently playing off the ball as far as they do? Or do you want these guys a little bit tighter? Like, they always preached about how the front end should be marrying with the back end. And when you have pressure looks specifically, you got to make sure that back end is on point. And if it isn't on point, you run into issues like they did with the fire zone that we showed in the film session. You're gonna run into those issues, and we pointed that out right now. I don't know if they're gonna blitz Patrick Mahomes next week. I don't think you're gonna get I don't think you're really gonna get a true evaluation of your secondary if you're sitting here blitzing Patrick Mahomes 1,000 times in the first half of the game. I don't know. So you bring up a good point to that poses a good question. Fundamentals, I don't know. That may come down to the DB coach Chris Harris, but in terms of what Jack Del Rio wants in his defense, in terms of his philosophy, that may also be something that we aren't taking into account as well. Who is this? Oh Lord, I didn't mean to do that. God damn it. Okay. So where we at? Pause. Let's get a break right quick. If you are new to the Trap or Dive, make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you hit that like button as well on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We're going to go ahead again. I'm going to open it up to anybody and everybody who wants to talk Commanders. I'm going to add the link to the chat. It is already in the description. If you want to join and talk about anything, whether it's from the film session, whether it's from your thoughts on the defense or the offense, anything and everything Commanders, the floor is yours. I ain't gonna lie to you all. I've been holding this goddamn piss for like 90 minutes now. So I'm actually surprised I held it in this long. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna be right back. But I see your question, Hawk, or I see your point, Hawk. I'm gonna go ahead and use the bathroom right quick, and we will be right back. Hold on.
Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Culture made it hit, boy.
Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Woo! Oh my goodness. That felt amazing. That felt amazing, bruh. Oh my goodness. Let's go. All right. Let's get into Hawks question or point. Excuse me. To me, if the rush gets defeated by the blocks, I think we're susceptible to giving up plays in the middle of the field. So here's the thing. Remember, don't forget the conversation that we started off, I think, Monday, was that we needed a nickel back. We needed that nickel corner, and Benjamin St. Juste is going to be that guy. We need to see what he looks like in that opportunity, because Danny Johnson, I've seen the comments on Twitter. I think Danny is more of like a six cornerback, and his spot should be up for grabs. That's the most important thing. His spot should be up for grabs, and if you don't see that opportunity, in terms of giving Percy Butler, because I can't wait to see Percy in the slot. He had a couple good reps in coverage. Run defense was one thing, but in coverage, he did his thing in coverage. So that's one thing, but there's other opportunities out there for people like Danny Johnson to kind of like move to the wayside. Danny Johnson's also 5'9", and I keep iterating that fact, because if you have a guy that's 5'9" in coverage as well, you are going to get challenged every single time. Like, this is preseason, but coaches still know who's on the other team. And I'm sure they still have people doing the scouting work to help out the coordinators. If they say Danny Johnson in the game, a 5'9" guy who has issues, maybe in terms of off coverage, he may have issues, they're going to challenge him. And they're going to identify that. So, sure, preseason, you're not necessarily game planning to a T, but you probably have scouts out there that's going to you probably going to have scouts out there that's going to help out these coordinators and coaches in terms of, like, at least getting certain guys on their offense or defense some looks. So that's kind of what that probably is. PJ Walker was going smack at him, and that's the fact. He had like 3 catches on one drive. That was a 2 minute. That was a 2 minute drive. Yeah, that was a 2 minute drive. Okay. Let's go to one side of the field. I think Scott Turner spoke yesterday, and we're gonna go ahead because I got some work to do on my side. You know, I got some articles to write. Got to get ready for that thing. But I want to talk about Scott Turner right quick and his response, if he's right here. Yep, here he is. His response to Carson Wentz. We talked about AG yesterday on the Trapper Dive podcast. So we don't have to dive into it again with a full-blown conversation. But I will ask you all just to initiate the conversation and get your comments. I'm not going to talk about it on my side, but what do you all think is ultimately Antonio Gibson's best fit on this offense? I've seen people on Twitter this morning as I'm scrolling through my timeline saying Antonio Gibson's going to be fine. He's going to be a beast this year. He's going to be a dog. We don't have much to worry about, things like that. But you know, your opinion is your opinion, so I didn't even bother responding to that. My question to you all is, what do you think is Antonio Gibson's best fit in his offense moving forward? How do you think Scott Turner is going to play things out for him? So with that being said, let me go ahead and get into some of these quotes by the man, Scotty T. At this point, plays Gibson as an RB2. Okay. Gibson still will produce. He has the numbers to back that. All right, here we go. Let's get into Scott Turner right quick. On his impressions of Carson Wentz's camp and the camp as a whole. He said, I think camp's been going really well. Training camp, there's going to be ups and downs. You got to work through things. Obviously, guys get dinged up, so you got to adjust to who's out there in every given day. I feel like our guys are getting better and better each day, and that's what you work towards. It's just that steady growth and steady improvement so you can be as good as possible when that first game hits and then continue to improve. Carson has been outstanding. He's an outstanding communicator. We've had great back and forth. It's important to him. Obviously, football is important to him. Just going back, starting even in the offseason, he dove right in to learn our offense and learn what we do. Got to know his teammates. Every day you can see that comfort level increasing. I've been really pleased with that. And the work he's done with his teammates, getting to know them, just getting a better feel for how they play the guys he's throwing the ball to. I just feel like he's getting comfortable, and in turn, we are getting better. So overall, from Carson Wentz and Scott Turner, it's clearly evident that their relationship has been better. It's clearly evident that their relationship is growing over time, and as an observer, Scott Turner is understanding how serious Wentz has taken this opportunity. This is, again, from his perspective, and from an observer, how Carson Wentz is taking this opportunity. So it's going to be really interesting for me seeing how these type of words and pressures translate to what's happening on the field. He didn't say that everything was perfect, obviously, right, in terms of on-field situations. But from a quarterback's perspective, how Carson has been working to be better, how he's been working to be on the same page with his receivers and pass catchers, that is something to take note of. So very interested in seeing how things move in that instance. Okay, so Alex said, in terms of Antonio Gibson, however, I see a D'Angelo Williams, Jay Stewart comp between him and B-Rob moving forward. A steady diet of both. B-Rob as a fourth quarter closer. Hawk, since he's a converted running back 2 years removed from playing receiver, do you think he'll be able to play receiver if a package of plays were designed to get him the ball? For sure. Now, I don't think that. So here's the thing. I don't know like what his route running looks like on the NFL level. When people, hear about the receiver part, like it's easy to do it, and it's going to be natural for Antonio Gibson. But like, how does his routes look in terms of his ability to set up defenders and win against NFL cornerbacks? I don't know, but we do know that he can win against NFL linebackers and maybe even safeties if they have to check him. Like those are naturals because linebackers aren't necessarily the best cover guys, and sometimes safeties aren't necessarily the best cover guys either. Some safeties aren't the best cover guys either. So to answer your question, receiver, we don't know. Like he can be aligned out wide. There's a lot of times where they do put him out there as a receiver, but they don't ask him to like run fly routes. They don't ask him to run post routes. Those aren't typical routes for an Antonio Gibson. So it's a very good question if he can play it from the NFL, and that's why I brought it up from that standpoint. And you asked it a really good way. 2 years removed from playing receiver, like that was his full-time spot at Memphis. He had spot duties at running back, but his full-time job was playing receiver. So to ask it that way is very important, and I think that was a good question. Who knows what we'll see out of Antonio Gibson in terms of this role moving forward and what Scott Turner wants to do, but it's very important that Scott Turner quickly identifies a way to keep him as effective as possible in his offense without further exposing him to turnover risk or fumble risk, anything like that. So that's one thing. Let's go ahead and transition to, he talked about Antonio He did. Brian Robinson, he said Brian Robinson he's been great. He's been a real serious guy. Football is extremely important to him. He takes a lot of pride in being a physical runner, but he can run too. I was happy and impressed with him, the way that he ran some things. He wasn't perfect on his tracks and stuff like that, but he runs so hard. He was able to gain positive yardage. That's great to see from a back. I think he'll continue to get better as the reps increase. That's his first time ever playing in a game where you're getting tackled in the NFL. And that's another thing too that people don't understand. Well, first off, let me be more clear in terms of another thing. I think they were spot on with the Brian Robinson, Scott Turner was. But I do want to point out, I was in the Twitter spaces yesterday, and there was a conversation that somebody said, you know, Antonio Gibson is this explosive. Now, this is not verbatim. He was like, Antonio Gibson is essentially this explosive player. And, you know, we have this Antonio Gibson. We have all this, like, this positive stuff in Antonio Gibson, and that's fine. But then he transitioned to Brian Robinson, and he said, you know, have you ever seen, I don't think Brian Robinson is a guy who can take something 40, 50 yards or take something 60 yards to the house or anything like that. He's not that explosive. Like, he's a power guy, an inside guy, you know, in between the tackles, here to get the short yardage stuff. And I think the dangerous thing about talking about Brian Robinson is understanding that, you know, you can't box him in. You can't box him in. Just because you haven't seen a guy break off first off, Antonio Gibson's longest run in the NFL has been 40 yards. So for all as much as people say that, you know, he's an explosive player, like for Antonio Gibson to have the 70-yard screen pass that he had, you had to get him out in space. Where do you think he made the play? He didn't make it running the football as a rusher. He made it as a pass catcher out in space. For a guy with 4.3 speed and as big as he is, I don't see a person breaking off runs consistently that tells you he's an elite playmaker or that he's a very good playmaker. Like, all I'm saying is, I'm not, you know, downplaying Antonio Gibson's effectiveness. I just want people to know that just because you see speed and athleticism with Antonio, that doesn't automatically mean he's gonna break off 1,000 runs. And now transition to Brian Robinson. Just because you haven't seen that man break off a 40-yarder or 50-yarder, first off, he's a rookie, so you're not gonna see it. But just because you haven't seen it on the college level either, he's a running back. He has speed. He will be able to house a 50-yarder. He will be able to house a 60-yarder. LeGarrette Blount, a dog-ass running back, housed a 70-yarder against Green Bay. 60-yarder. He probably ran like a 4.6. Like, you guys got to think out. Sometimes you got to think a little bit deeper when it comes to certain positions. I think that Brian Robinson is more than what people are giving him credit for. Bottom line, he's not just a short yardage guy. He has the vision and quickness to hit a hole and burst through the hole, and that's ultimately what is dangerous. So if you give him the right crease and he sees it, he's gone. That's what running backs do. They hit the hole and they skedaddle. They get the fuck up out of there. That's what they do, man. If we don't have to throw baby out there with the bath water, why not find ways to make it work? I like that. Versatility, you can have AG and B-Rob in the games together, like JD McKissick and B-Rob in the games together. We have enough versatility on offense for Scott Turner. There's a ton of ways that you can mix and match. That's fact. All right, Gibson, we perfect complement to Robinson. They will help. They help each other as Gibson can make the explosive plays with spot physical runs to make the defense respect him. B-Rob Rose for a guy's size. LeGarrette Blount, Marshawn. And they house call shit easily. LeGarrette Blount can house call something. Marshawn Lynch, we know Marshawn can house call something. Are they running 4.4s or 4.3s? No. He's going to make motherfuckers make business decisions for sure. Both are power back who made plays, and that's exactly where I'm getting at, bruh. They are some dogs, bruh. And those ain't the only two. Who else? Michael Turner. He was a blazer. He had some speed, but he was a big back. What's going on, Ralph? Appreciate you checking in, big dog. Hey, listen though, It may be worth starting this joint from the top because we did a film breakdown. We did probably like 45 minutes of a film session. So it may be worth like starting from the top. Up to you. But this is about to close soon. I got some things going on. We're finishing off with Scott Turner's quotes. We just got talked about Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, that dynamic. So yeah, that's that. A reminder for the people who are just checking in. If you are new to the Trapper Dive, man, make sure you hit that follow button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, whichever way you are watching. It's appreciated. The link in the StreamYard is opening up once more. This is towards the tail end, but we can go ahead and get any conversations out of the way, anything Commander related. But yes, let's go ahead and get back to Scott Turner and some of his quotes that he had yesterday about the offense moving forward. We did talk about, we don't have to harp on Gibson's fumbles so much. We understood that, so we can bypass that conversation. Is he a Hall of Famer? Hell nah. I don't think so, bro. I don't think he is. He's just like, he's in that Hall of Good. So you have a Hall of Good, a Hall of Very Good, and then you got the Hall of Famer. Hall of Very Good is a Santana Moss. Like, that's a Hall of Very Good. Or in running back terms, Hall of Very Good can be like a, let's see, maybe even D'Angelo Williams. Since we're talking about this conversation, like maybe even D'Angelo, Arian Foster. Like, those are Hall of Very Goods. I think he's in the Hall of Good, like LeGarrette Blount is. Here we go. I'm gonna trust the other guys in the booth. Don't care about that. Terry McLaurin. Okay, let's see. What did he say about Terry? He said, well, Terry McLaurin, he came back. Obviously, we didn't have the offseason with all the contract stuff, but he came back and hit the ground running. Still the ultimate competitor, wants to win, going to be physical, going to go back, going to go get the ball. Just the same old stuff from Terry and the way he's been working. He's continued to get better too, because he is now going into his 4th year and he's really ascending as a player. Is he even ready to be better than he has been? I actually think this is I'm glad I talked about this because there was that conversation about, Terry not being in the top 100. And it's crazy. I used to love that show. And I didn't stop watching because of Terry. Like, I just stopped watching because it's been weird. I didn't even know, like, they used to do this thing in like June or July. Now they're doing it in mid-August during the preseason. I didn't even know the top 100 was coming on when it did over the weekend or Monday, whatever day it came on. I didn't even know that it was coming on. So like, just not being hip to it at all. Let me see if I can pull up the list. So I want to see all the receivers that did make the top 100 NFL top 100 2022 list. Let's see what pops up. We got the whole list. Full top 100 list. Okay, so we do got receivers. Can I sort it by position? This is sporting. Who the hell set me up? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see this. Okay. So we have the top 100 list. Where is the receivers? We have, none of the receivers made the top 10. Oh, Cooper Kupp. Oh, wow. Cooper Kupp is number 5. Yeah, that list is always subject to change. Players aren't valued the same on that list. And that's kind of where I was getting at. It all depends on who is on there and why they were voted on there, man. Some people may even get voted on there because they know more about a player than, others. Like, I just don't know. Like, it's not always like based on skill. I remember when Cole Beasley made the top 100, and I think he made it either over Terry or, I think Terry got snubbed. I don't think he ever made the list. I don't know. But to the point, like, Cole Beasley made it at one point, and that was very disrespectful. So Cooper Kupp is the only receiver in the top 10. Let's see what 11 and 20. You got Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase. He debuted at 18. Okay. Debuted at 18. All right, so as we continue, I'm going to go through the list of receivers. Y'all stop me, and I'll probably stop myself too, but y'all stop me where it's like it's a little bit questionable. So we have Deebo Samuel at 26. That's actually really high, but Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Stephon Diggs, 35.
Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Let's keep going. So we're at 50 now. No receivers in 41 through 50. Dak Prescott at 50. That's funny. CD Lamb at 57. CD Lamb. Oh man. Yeah, and CD Lamb and Odell. Odell made it. Where Odell at? So CD at 57. Okay. And he made it high. He made it real high. Damn. Okay, Jonathan Allen at 61. I thought they said he came in at 88. Bro, don't tell me this is their own list. Top 100 NFL.
Hey, run that shit up, Chase.
Also, man. Nobody was happy, but for all make the list. I thought he was in at 88. This ain't the right list. I'm about to drop kick somebody. Where is the list? Damn. Yeah, bruh. I'm over here looking at the wrong list. Let me go ahead and share my screen. My bad, y'all. All right, here we go. I'm about to share my screen. So I just realized I didn't do that. Y'all over here looking at me and shit. All right, come on. Okay, let me start at 51 through 60. Wait, can I keep going or this is it? Okay, so we'll start at 51. 51, Alvin Kamara. 52, Matt Judon. Mike Evans, 53. Do we have any disagreements on Mike Evans? I would say Mike Evans is safe. He deserves to be on the list. Not in terms of ranking, but does he deserve to be on the list over Terry? So Mike Evans, I would say he deserves to be on the list. Let's go to 61 through 70. That was the only receiver in 60 to 51. Waddle made the list at 70. Okay, let me just go ahead and scroll down to the bottom. All right, here we go. Russell Wilson, 61. Chandler Jones. Jalen Waddle debuted at 63. Debuted. That boy was a rookie last year. Okay. That man came in with 100 yards. 100 catches and 100 yards, 1,000 yards receiving. Okay. Hey, boy, Alabama got some dog-ass receivers. I tell you that. Lately, that's been crazy. Okay. Buddha. Ain't worried about that. Cam Jordan. So Jalen Waddle is different. I think Jalen Waddle, you can probably keep him on the list. But I don't think that if you would have put Terry on, Terry probably would have been higher than Jalen and should have been higher than Jalen. Maybe they put him on the list altogether because of the fact that he's a rookie and he had 100 catches and 1,000 yards. Yeah, 63. That's just crazy. Okay. 71 through 80. Let's go down to the bottom. Shout out to James Conner. I like what he be doing. Let's go down to the bottom. You got Jason Kelce, Quandre Diggs. Was he ranked last year? Yeah. Cordero Patterson, a dog. But not a receiver. Brian Burns, okay. Darius Slay, oh, he didn't get ranked. Okay. So I guess sometimes you can kind of, like last year he didn't even get ranked. So I wonder if Philly fans thought he was snubbed. I think Darius Slay is he's a good receiver. Good cornerback, excuse me. All right, so James Conner. Here we go, 90 to 81. All right. Now we getting to the nitty gritty. Who's the bottom guys? Who's the people at the bare minimum should have been considered, or Terry should have been considered over? So we got Kenny Moore, Wyatt Teller, Roquan, Jonathan Allen. Shout out to the boy. Marshawn, Odell. He wasn't even ranked last year. It's crazy. Odell had a crazy ass season, bro. Like he was cooking for both. Well, he was slighted on one team and cooked for another team. Ultimately won a Super Bowl through all the shit that he went through. That's interesting. Okay, so Odell is what Alex said, let me go back to this one. All right. So Odell you have, and then you got, what's that boy? CD, where does CD rank? Kyle Pitts, shout out to Kyle, man. A dog. Von Miller. CD Lamb, 95. I don't get it. And statistically, CD Lamb, his stats are just as similar as Terry McLaurin's. And my thing is with this one, because I haven't studied CD's game in particular, so I don't know to the depths in which he's really good or how good he is. But for CD to have similar stats with a stable quarterback position is wild as hell. Because Terry played with 90 quarterbacks in 2021. And well, I cited 3. Ryan, Taylor primarily, and then obviously your boy Garrett, whatever his name is. But at the end of the day, you got CD at 95 with 79 catches, 11 yards. And Terry McLaurin, playing with a backup quarterback all season, primarily most of the season. And, these guys rank CD at 95 and Terry doesn't have enough. Was he like an honorable mention at least, bro? Like, don't they do honorable mentions, or do they wait till like the last 10 players or the top 10 players to do the honorable mentions? Because this is different. Like, is he 101 through 110? He has to be. I don't know, but this is different. So you got CD at 95. Kirk Cousins, sorry ass. How do you make the top 100? Kyle Juszczyk, I respect that. I like the way he played. But anyway, back to Terry McLaurin. Yeah, man, CD, it can really stop right there. Like, for him to be at 95, like I was thinking at 60 something. Whoever did that list where he was at 66, I think they probably should stop doing rankings altogether, because that was just stupid. That was just stupid. The London Fletcher of receivers, that's a fact though. The London Fletcher of receivers, and he's sliding on both their shit. That's a fact. So that's why I'm so confused, bro. Like, ultimately, when I talked about, like, I stopped watching it, it wasn't intentional. It's really just because I forgot about him. I forgot about the show, and then ultimately lost interest. But looking at the rankings is what it is. But for these guys, like, it's always been a question of, like, how are they ranking these guys? Because Ryan Kerrigan, he's made the list a few times. Trent Williams, we know he made the list. I'm trying to think who else made the list. I think Kirk may have made it with us, and I think Chris Thompson made it one time. So like, it's not like we're completely disregarded, but it's like, how much longer are y'all gonna be sleeping on Terry? Like, I think Terry personally, like, receivers are a lot. There's a lot of receivers on the top 100 list every year, and I think he hovers around the 11 to 13 range. I said that before last season started. I think it's still the same here, because after last year, so many receivers popped up that we weren't probably anticipating. Jalen Waddle, and I'm not saying Jalen is better than Terry. I'm just saying in terms of popped up that put their names in the mix. Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, like, shot through the roof. And then you got some other receivers that I'm not thinking of right now. But I'm saying all that to say, I've always thought that he was in 11-13 range, and I still think he's in that same range right now. But if you're in that 11 to 13 range, you should be making that top 100. AJ up there, bro. And that's wild. AJ up there. And I think it's also important too, like, team success is probably something reflective of, where they're going to put these guys. So AJ being on the number 1 seed team in the AFC, he's going to get that exposure from some of the players that's voting on him. So yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. How the hell I went from Scott Turner to Terry McLaurin. Okay. For Darian Mathis, that's my guy right there. That's my guy right there. Okay. That's what I'm about to look at next. I'm about to continue watching this film. I got some things to take care of, but that's it right now. That's crazy though. AJ Brown is going to be top 50 for sure. We should expect that. Don't even get worked up. We all rocking with the flow. Yeah, I got so like, how the hell we end up on the top 100? Oh, he spoke on it. Scott Turner did. Okay, so what did he say? Yeah, I don't know who else was on the list. I really don't pay attention to that. I think Terry would be a top 100 player in the league. If I was doing a list, I'd have him ranked there. Can't really pay attention to what those guys say. We just got to go out here and do the work. And hopefully by this time next year, we got a few guys on that list and we can take that next step and be successful. That kind of stuff seems to take care of itself. And that's ultimately where I'm getting at. Like, it sounds like that shit just take care of itself. From a winning standpoint and from an exposure standpoint, like a national exposure standpoint. So we'll see. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be back on Friday. Oh, before I get out of here, I'll just ask you all, do we want to do like an offensive film session? Like, do we want to do like the receivers and tight ends and things like that, or overall offensive side of the football? Or do we want to transition? I mean, we're going to talk about Kansas City and Washington regardless, but do we want to look back at the film for this one? Because I was a little late. I was a little late in showing everything and breaking things down. So Friday too late, then fuck it. You know what I'm saying? We transition on to Kansas City and things like that. So we can figure that out. Who is this? I think I'll look into it. I will look into it. So we can tap out right now. I will be back tomorrow, I think, with a preview, and then Commanders Morning Show back on Friday. And I think we're doing post game. I think we're gonna do post game, like an hour tops type shit, and go through things like that. So yeah, let me go ahead and get up out of here. Y'all boys be safe. Enjoy y'all day. And I'll talk to you all tomorrow.